From that, the Nigeria Labour Congress has now issued a 7-day ultimatum to the federal government to reverse all perceived anti-poor policies. NLC is particularly concerned with the recent increase in the price of petrol on two different occasions from 197 naira per litre to 617. The Congress says workers nationwide will now commence an indefinite strike next Wednesday should the government fail to heed its call for a policy reversal. Let's join our State House correspondent Femi Akonje, who is live at the presidential villa. Femi, let's begin with a hike in school fees. The presidency is insisting that tuition is still free and that these new hikes are discretionary charges by school management in the area of accommodation, registration, and other charges. But Femi, these charges aren't optional for students, are they?
Well, they're not optional, and it also depends on the university. Like, you know, that statement from the presidency says that these are sundry charges. What the president is just trying to do is to clearly communicate and ensure that our citizens understand that these are discretionary at the discretion of these universities. It is not a federal government policy. It is not due to the removal of fuel subsidy that these tuition fees are being increased. And they are saying that, well, President Bola Tinubu's government has no reason to increase tuition fee for federal institutions because he has promised and he has committed to ensuring that education is free, especially at that tertiary level, even at the basic level, and people also have access to this education. That is why he also introduced that student loan policy that will soon take effect in September to ensure that, well, even these sundry charges by the universities, the students will be able to afford it. They will be able to pay for it as long as they have access to these student loans that will be provided by the federal government. So it's just about setting the record straight. That is what the federal government tried to do with that statement, Nifemi.
Anyways, we're talking about almost 100% increment in some cases. But has there been any reaction to the Unity school fees where we hear fees have gone to as high as 100,000 naira from 45,000 naira?
Well, that statement was particularly focused on tertiary institutions and responding to some of the widely circulated news reports we've been hearing over the week about the increase in tuition fee for higher institutions. There is no particular mention of Unity schools in that report, but what the federal government is responding to is that of the tertiary institutions. Nifemi.
All right, let's talk about the impending nationwide strike coming from labor unions, particularly the Nigeria Labour Congress. Has the presidency reacted to this, and what update do you have with the ongoing conversation with organized labor in this regard?
Well, officially, the president is yet to make a statement in that regard, but we understand that there has been ongoing talks between the president and the organized labor. These talks did not start today. They started as far back as when President Bola Tinubu announced that subsidy is gone, and organized labor at that time threatened to down tools before they shelved that strike action in national interest because it didn't seem quite popular at that time, and they also came to the round table with the presidency, and they deliberated on several issues. At the end of the day, they were able to reach a middle ground that forced the Labour Congress to shelve that strike. And a lot of promises were also made by the federal government with regards to cushioning the effects of the removal of petrol subsidy on Nigerians, the poorest of the poor. All of those demands, the federal government is making efforts to meet some of those demands. You already know that the National Economic Council rolled out palliative measures, a lot of which will be implemented at the subnational levels. These were some of the demands made by the organized labor. But what Labour is not happy with is the hike in the pump price of petrol. That has happened in quick succession. And what they are saying is that, well, indeed, Nigerians did not bargain for this. But what the federal government is saying that all of this is dictated by market forces. The higher the demand, the higher the supply, and also with the price of dollar is what is making the hike. It is what is causing the hike in the price of petrol. They believe that as long as as soon as Nigeria's foreign exchange stabilizes, this would also force down the prices, the rising price of petrol in the country. But it remains to be seen how the federal government will engage Labour this time around to ensure that this planned nationwide strike is shelved. Ifemi.
State House correspondent Femi Akonde live for us at the Presidential Villa, Abuja.